Hello MotoGP fans. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Dorna CEO Carmelo Ezpeleta addressed the fallout from the Middle East conflict and its impact on the MotoGP calendar, offering a cautious but pragmatic update on the status of the Lusail round. Speaking at an Estrella Galicia 0.0 event in Madrid, Ezpeleta also touched on stewarding, the loss of Phillip Island, and the push to bring more races closer to city centers. Marc Márquez used a Madrid appearance to address the controversies from Buriram, defend his approach to racing under tighter stewarding, and underline the unusual nature of his race retirement. His comments mix frustration at post-race narratives with a pragmatic focus on adapting to new limits and moving on. Ducati team manager Davide Tardozzi offered a candid assessment of the factory's bruising weekend in Buriram, where Aprilia's dominance and KTM's consistency exposed vulnerabilities in the Desmas set-aside package. For a manufacturer that had enjoyed an 88-race podium streak stretching back to 2021, the Thai Grand Prix was a sobering reminder that MotoGP's competitive balance can shift quickly. Buriram's shockwaves are still settling, and the first race of the season has already forced riders and managers to reassess decisions made in the transfer market. Early form, Aprilia's surge, KTM's Acosta, Ducati's unexpected fragility, and Yamaha's struggles has sharpened the contrast between those who look vindicated by their choices and those who might be waking up with second thoughts about 2027 deals. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Ezpeleta made clear that holding the Qatar Grand Prix on its scheduled April dates is now unlikely because of the regional instability. He stressed, however, that cancellation is not the immediate plan. Dorna is exploring alternatives, including rescheduling the Lusail round to a later date or finding a replacement venue. Would there be a chance to go to Qatar on another date? We're calm because we always have a plan B. The message is one of contingency. Organizers are in active talks with Qatari authorities and will decide once more information is available. Asked about the penalty handed to Marc Márquez in the sprint, Ezpeleta declined to criticize the stewards, saying it is not his role to comment on officiating. He indicated that any systemic concerns would be discussed with the FIM at season's end rather than in public reaction to a single decision. "I don't comment on anything the stewards do. It's my duty to stay out of it." Ezpeleta's diplomatic stance aims to protect the integrity of race control while leaving room for formal review through established channels. Ezpeleta confirmed the loss of Phillip Island from the calendar and previewed a new city centre event in Adelaide. He described the Adelaide layout as not exactly a street circuit, but a safe, urban venue designed to bring fans closer to the action while meeting modern safety standards. The shift reflects MotoGP's strategic push to stage more accessible, city-focused events that broaden the sport's appeal. While acknowledging Phillip Island's beauty, Ezpeleta reiterated that safety is the overriding concern when choosing circuits. He cited Suzuka as another example of a historic venue that will not be used if it cannot meet safety requirements. The comments underline a long-term trend: heritage and spectacle matter, but not at the expense of rider safety. Ezpeleta framed the calendar changes as part of MotoGP's evolution, bringing races closer to population centers and creating more fan-friendly events. He pointed to existing city-based venues and permanent urban circuits as models for future growth. The aim is to balance tradition with commercial and spectator access, expanding MotoGP's footprint while maintaining competitive integrity. Carmelo Ezpeleta's update combined realism about short-term disruption with a steady strategic vision: adapt the calendar where necessary, prioritize safety, and continue expanding MotoGP's reach through city-focused events. The coming weeks should clarify Qatar's fate, but Dorna's message is clear: contingency plans are in place, and the championship will press on. Marquez accepted the penalty handed down in the sprint, but warned that the threshold for acceptable overtakes has shifted. He compared the new stewarding to football rules that have changed the game, saying riders will now have to think twice before committing to moves that once passed without sanction. The stewards always set a limit, and now they've lowered it a bit. You have to adapt. The message is clear. Elite riders must recalibrate risk versus reward in wheel-to-wheel situations as officiating titans. On his dramatic Sunday retirement, Marquez downplayed speculation and described the tire failure as inexplicable bad luck. He said checks by team personnel found the rim in perfect condition and that he was fortunate to avoid a serious crash. While others have suggested curb damage, Marquez insisted he was not seeking excuses and focused instead on the lost points. There's simply no explanation for what happened, but I'm not even looking for one. I don't think it was Michelin's fault, nor the rim. The rider's stance shifts attention away from blame and toward the practical task of recovery and adaptation. Marquez reacted sharply to comments from Pedro Acosta about the sprint outcome and used the moment to draw a career comparison. He reminded listeners that he won the world title in his rookie year, contrasting that with Acosta's still unfinished search for a first Premier-class victory after 3 seasons. The remark underlined Marquez's competitive pride and impatience with shifting narratives. The Marquez of 2013 won the title in his first year in MotoGP. He didn't even win a race in his third. The barb is part sporting provocation, part reminder of pedigree, a veteran asserting standards against a rising rival. Marquez acknowledged Aprilia and Marco Bezzecchi's clear advantage at Buriram, admitting the weekend felt similar to testing in terms of strengths and weaknesses. He suggested Aprilia simply had the edge on that circuit and urged patience before declaring a season-long hierarchy. His measured view leaves room for Ducati to respond while recognizing rivals' progress. Marc Márquez left Madrid with a mix of defiance and pragmatism, critical of changing stewarding thresholds, dismissive of simplistic explanations for his retirement, and confident in his own standards. The exchange with Acosta sharpened the rivalry narrative, but Marquez's overriding tone was forward-looking: adapt, recover, and let the next races provide the answers. Tardozzi admitted that Buriram felt like a slap in the face, a shock to a team accustomed to dictating the pace. Ducati's streak of podiums was broken, and rivals seized the spotlight. But he framed the setback as a wake-up call rather than a crisis, stressing that MotoGP is a long season shaped by circuit characteristics, tire allocations, and evolving setups. We were slapped in the face at Buriram, but other tracks will tell the truth. The remark reflects Ducati's philosophy: acknowledge the blow, analyze the data, and prepare a counterpunch. For a team with depth across factory and satellite outfits, one difficult weekend does not define the campaign. Tardozzi revealed that Marquez was visibly frustrated by missing out on a podium, particularly after a strong recovery ride that had him closing on Raul Fernandez before disaster struck. Yet the reigning champion's reaction was pragmatic. He recognizes that defending the crown will be harder this year, but he retains full faith in Gigi Dall'Igna and Ducati's engineering team. Marc definitely understands that it will be more difficult to win the title this year, but he has great faith in Gigi and his engineers. This blend of anger and trust is characteristic of Marquez, a rider who demands results but knows that resilience and collaboration are the keys to long-term success. Tardozzi reiterated Ducati's view that Marquez's retirement was triggered by a curb strike at turn 4, which bent the rim and deflated the rear tire. He emphasized the rarity of the incident, noting that several riders had run wide at the same corner without suffering similar failures. For Ducati, the episode was both a mistake and a freak mechanical occurrence. The team will now conduct a forensic review to determine whether curb design, rim resilience, or tire interaction played the decisive role. Preventing recurrence is essential, as such failures can derail a championship bid. Tardozzi urged patience, pointing to upcoming rounds in Austin, Qatar and Jerez as more representative tests of Ducati's competitiveness. He suggested that Buriram's extreme heat, curb layout and Michelin's rigid rear tire allocation exaggerated weaknesses that may not appear elsewhere. The strategic message is clear: Ducati will use the European swing to validate whether Buriram was an anomaly or a sign of deeper issues. With Marquez's shoulder expected to improve further, the team believes its true form will emerge in the coming weeks. Davide Tardozzi's assessment combined blunt honesty with measured optimism. Ducati was humbled in Thailand, but the team's leadership, technical depth and Marquez's confidence provide a platform for recovery. The next rounds will be decisive in showing whether Ducati can translate winter promise into race resilience and reassert itself against Aprilia's surge and KTM's Acosta-led challenge. For now, Buriram is a reminder that even dominant dynasties must adapt, and Ducati's response will shape the narrative of the 2026 season. The clearest winner from Buriram is Marco Bezzecchi. His renewal with Aprilia now reads like a masterstroke: pole, race win and a factory package that works across both factory and satellite entries. For Bezzecchi, staying put looks like the right call, stability plus a bike that translates testing into race pace. Riders who committed early to teams that showed coherent race performance will feel reassured. Continuity has immediate value when rivals stumble. Pecco Bagnaia, now linked with Aprilia, and Fabio Quartararo, who heads to Honda, are two names that can breathe easier after Buriram. Bagnaia's move away from Ducati now appears prescient given Ducati's weekend of questions. Quartararo, despite Yamaha's collapse, sees Honda trending upward. His decision to switch looks less risky in light of HRC's progress. For riders who left troubled projects or joined improving ones, Buriram provides early confirmation that their career moves could pay off. The most obvious candidate for buyer's remorse is anyone who committed to Ducati expecting another dominant season. Marc Márquez, despite his 2-year renewal, and other riders tied to Borgo Panigale will be watching closely. A bent rim and tire failure, plus a general lack of race rhythm, make that contract look more daunting. Jorge Martin, already set to move to Yamaha in 2027, may be wondering if he's stepping into a weaker package compared with Aprilia's current form. Early signings always carry risk. A single weekend of underperformance can turn confidence into doubt. Buriram highlights 2 strategic trends. First, manufacturers that deliver a coherent package across factory and satellite teams, Aprilia being the prime example, gain bargaining power and can lock riders into multi-year deals with confidence. Second, brands that concentrate development around a single star, as some suggest KTM does with Pedro Acosta, can achieve short-term gains but risk leaving other riders exposed. Teams will now reassess development priorities and communication with contracted riders. Riders will weigh machinery fit more heavily than salary or prestige. The transfer market was always a bet on future form. Buriram simply moved the odds. Some riders now feel vindicated, others uneasy. The European swing, Jerez, Austin and the rest, will be the true litmus test. If Aprilia's advantage holds, those who stayed will be smiling. If Ducati and others respond, early regrets may fade. For now, the paddock is recalibrating expectations and reminding everyone that in MotoGP, timing and context matter as much as contracts. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!